Welcome to a master's degree in rolling terribly. I'm not your host this week, I'm Dwarf. But I am joined by a man who's probably a little confused right now, and that would be Gaz and Deddy, who set all this up.
Well, yes, definitely a bit more confused. You sound more happy than usual host is, and definitely less shade.
Welcome back. Dwarf 74 in the house. I need like one of those air siren noises.
Like air horn.
Yeah. Need an air horn. It's been forever since we've sat down and had a chat with you, Dwarf. It feels literally like it was over a year ago.
But at the same time, it's like I'm talking to you two like nearly every day, right?
Pretty much. Absolutely. Without AFK journeys and all of that good stuff.
Yeah, your Discord's been fantastic. It's, tons of fun to talk in. And, feel like I've gotten to know you two pretty okay over the past.
It's a great learning experience in that Discord. We're covering things like the weather. We're covering toilet door heights. You've done bits on, places you've been visiting. I think we've had, someone else showing. Pardon?
The corn. Remember, like the death of the corn kernel, like bins that you were.
Oh yeah.
You threw your kids in.
Yeah. Where you were worried that they were going to suffocate. Yeah, that was a pumpkin patch, which is kind of a very like Midwest American thing. It was kind of like a big carnival we all went to. It was awesome. The kids had a great time. And yes, I threw them into bins of corn.
Why not, right?
Like this is like the ball pit thing that he was showing us.
Yeah,
it was like a ball pit. Yeah,
kind of like like a sand. For me, that the sand pit makes more sense because of the height it was.
Right.
Because I was thinking this really deep ball pit full of corn kernels that you just throw your kids into and then just hope that they come out with some kind of corn superpower.
So we came all the way to our end, and we finished our campaign finally. It's taken forever, and I'm sure it's been a really, really fun experience and frustrating one for people who have listened to some of the repeats and some of the complaints and some of the item bins and all of that good stuff. Have you have completely, just jogged my memory, completed a campaign of Frosthaven?
My own game is still. We're near the end. We have just one lurker quest line scenario left, and then we can go through the whole 62 to 64 thing. We're in no rush to, zip it all up yet, but, we have a good group of 4. It's been a wonderful time. I'm playing the Fist now, and absolutely awesome. Fist was one of my 2 favorite classes during the whole testing process, and it is awesome to play it for real.
This is the first time you're playing it for real. I was gonna say, aren't your team gonna be like, whoa, you help play test this character and all that, you're banned from using it because you're gonna be too good at it?
Oh god, no. I'm way better now than I was when we were testing. But no, another one of the players in my group is also a playtester from there, and we he was in my normal group, so I kind of just pulled him in when I could. And the 2 other players are just awesome. They're doing a great time. Right now, the party is me as Fist. We have shards going on. We have a Prism who's doing the ranged attack, multi-attack stuff. And we have a tank focus banner spear.
Doing boldening blow stuff?
What was that?
Doing boldening blow stuff?
He did not take that card.
Just read about it on the internet when I'm just not going there.
Oh man. I could tell you stories. Yeah.
I was going to say, I know that you you talked a bit about Scenario 64. I know you've seen
Yeah.
some of your commentary. In fact, I can literally throw a dart on a random Reddit thread or BGG thread, and your name will appear in there somewhere. Like
I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. It's great. It's know that I
It's
know that it's going to be there.
it's almost like a seal of approval. If you read through a conversation that has more than about 5 comments and your name isn't on there, then you clearly know this topic is not worth reading.
Oh, I don't put a lot of comments in about like a lot of the minis and art, but I always appreciate them and upvote them. But yeah, it's weird. We had the Scenario 64 thread the same week you guys were playing it. And I've played that scenario, I think, as many times as you have
That's
at
what I was
this
going to
point.
ask. Did you play through playtesting? Because that's why I
Yeah.
was like, did you
Yeah,
not
it
finish the
was.
campaign?
Yeah, without going into too many details, it was a major focus because nobody wanted another like gloom at the end of the campaign.
Yeah. I see
Nobody
that coming.
wanted. Yeah,
So I can't really remember the end of Gloomhaven, and we won't talk about it very much because it's potential spoilers, and also it's not what we're talking about. But it was lackluster, right?
oh yeah, it was one of the worst scenarios in the game.
Because
Um,
that was my experience when I played through it with Deddy, and there was another person we were playing with, and I remember we kind of got to it and we did it, and then when it was ended, and then we're like reading all this text, we're like, oh, I think we finished it.
yeah,
Like it was very underwhelming in regards to it seemed epic at the time for what was supposed to be happening. So yeah, okay. So that was obviously a big focus going into this to make sure that people knew that it was the end, right? Like
yeah.
yeah, okay.
Yep, that you know it's the end, that it's a good scenario, that it ties everything together, that it's not too easy, and also not too hard. Um, you know, I hope you agree it wasn't too hard,
Oh
but
no, we just had the difficulty
just
too high and we're
bad.
shit. Yeah.
oh, okay,
No,
okay, well,
yeah. Do you see
yeah.
the problem is you didn't account for people that are as bad as us? Like
No, I think I mostly tested with, I mean, I did most of my testing with Snowflake and Fist. Uh, at the time, they were two classes that got a little less attention because they're not so flashy. And also, they were easy classes. So me being shit at the game was, not as big a concern. Um, so, yeah, Snowy was especially awesome in that one because, I went full support for one of those where I was all about the heals and the buffs and everything like that. And that felt like the most successful version of that I did. Yeah, it was. I absolutely love that scenario. It's hard. It hits you with a wall of attacks. Don't get me wrong. Um, but I think it was really really kind of zeroed in. But sorry, you know,
Who just
going on
here?
there.
Who designed it? Did Isaac design that run towards the end?
Yeah, Isaac designed all of the main
Main ones, yeah.
scenarios. But that one was developed quite a lot by Drew, by Grapeaway, and he and Themris did a whole lot of development passes on a lot of the stuff
Yeah, no.
in the game. So
then I don't know if we can ask this, but like, what was how different was it from what you tested or ended up at to what you kind of first touched? Like, was it this kind of iterative process that like went through and that started out, and like the feedback was like, no, this is garbage, guys, go back and do it again?
I don't honestly remember. So I guess the NDA is not as big a deal. I don't remember it being substantially different, but it was probably tweaked in a couple of different ways every time I ran it. I just, I was just, playing it, testing it, giving my feelings, giving my feedback,
Because one of the big criticisms that we've had, and we're not alone in this, I think we see this conversation quite a lot, is that like the Gloomhaven, Frosthaven kind of, I guess the way the games work, the mechanics of it don't really support kind of big epic boss fights, like not
Yeah.
to the degree that you have some, I don't know, board games in general, if there are any that support that really well. But, you know, you think about these games that have these really cool boss fights, like, you know, Dark Souls type games always come to mind. And I think that this did really well to make the scenario enjoyable, because I think one of the biggest issues we've had is when it's not so much that it's not fun, but it's just over too quick, because you
Oh,
either
yeah.
make it a burn, like it's just a DPS race where you go in and you finish it in 4 turns, or you have all these things in between that just make it more annoying. And trying to find that make it fun, not a burn, but not annoying is a hard thing. And I think that where they landed was actually really clever, because you've got this interesting scenario that you kind of have to do, and then a burn. Right. Then the last
Yep.
phase being a burn is actually feels good because you're half dead and you're like,
Yeah.
shit,
Yeah.
now we have to burn. It feels good. We're not at full power. So I think that's a kind of, it was a clever idea to do that. And I'm kind of glad that it didn't get spoiled by being in 3 or 4 places earlier in the campaign, because that could have been a very easy solution. Go like, oh, our formula is, you know, a scenario, do like half a scenario and then burn a boss. And if you'd done that 3 or 4 times leading up to this one, you would have been like, it's just like those other ones. Okay, cool. And it kind of wouldn't have felt as unique, I guess.
Right. Yeah, I agree with you. Boss battles are and continue to be like a kind of a thing that the game system doesn't always do so well. I think there are a couple of pretty good ones in there, like the Fish King, I thought was done pretty well, where you have to go through all 4 of these phases, and after each one do some stuff and then come back. It needed to be a little bit harder, I think, because it felt a little too easy at the end there, but it was, I think, a model like that is pretty great. But yeah, I agree with you. The whole setup of just a really wrenching 10 rounds full of setup, tower defense, just getting absolutely destroyed by the monsters, and if you're bad at the admin, that can take a while.
I was going to say, Gaz, with what you were saying with the build-up, kind of, you know, the 10 rounds before the burn phase, it's like the admin does add to that fatigue, right? So you're mentally fatigued as well. So by the time the boss spawns, you're all looking up like, okay, we can do this.
Yeah.
And then you can't.
That's it. It's like, oh no, the boss just spawned. Oh, I'm almost exhausted. And like, oh, okay, cool. How many cards you get left? No, no, personally, I'm about to pass out. My character's fine, but I am almost dead. So.
Yeah, and then the boss pops out, and those tricks you've been using to melt bosses the whole campaign, suddenly you see, oh god, he's got quite a retaliate value, doesn't he? And
I mean, he only draws boss special 2. You think that the
they
special
all
rules...
do. Every boss only draws boss
100%.
special 2.
Yeah.
Yeah. That boss deck is mean. Yeah,
I find with boss special 2, like it's always the worst ability by being the worst for us, the best for the boss, right? Like it's always sucks. It's always something that's shit, and it goes really early. So I feel like every single boss, we're just like, oh no, there's like a 2 in 8 chance, however many cards there are in the monster ability deck, and just be like 2 in 8 chance we just get screwed by boss special 2.
Yep. Yeah, it's like 3 special 2, 3 special 1, and then 2 cards that you just really hope they're going to pop out, because it's one of them is their melee attack and one of them's the ranged attack, where they're just doing nothing very interesting.
Yeah. You say there's 3 and 3, is there?
I promise.
Oh, okay.
Take a look, dig it out.
Oh, I thought it was 100% boss special 2.
Oh yeah, well I mean maybe your deck, maybe
it's
that's
hitting that refresh.
Yeah,
right.
True. Yeah, you just hit it and then just like it's boss special 2 all the way down, right?
Yep.
Dwarf.
Yeah.
Just quickly, you put together our very, very favorited document the previously on, right? And you did that about midway through, I don't know, the year, I think. And it was really well received and everyone loves it. How long did that take? And what was that process like?
Oh boy. My kids were away at camp, so I was like, well, I got some time to myself now. And I sat down and I just started working on it. And man, it would have taken forever if I hadn't had that ultimate unlocking guide that was posted to Reddit and BGG quite a while ago that tells you how absolutely everything is unlocked.
Yeah.
But once
okay.
it was, I would say that might have been, I don't know, probably less than you think, like 15, 20 hours.
Oh,
I don't
not
know.
bad.
A lot of it's
I-
like copy and pasting the
Yeah.
previous sections and, making sure that all works. And some of the later ones, like the stuff that's unlocked by the town hall, their intros are pretty short. It's just, um, Glint being kind of a dick, uh, and giving you a real quick rundown of what you need to do. So, um, it wasn't quick, but I felt like it was time well spent because, like you've seen me online, the thing that I've kind of just I keep spending all my time on is looking at the internet, seeing what people are saying don't work, and then trying to make sets of either house rules or aids or help documents or whatever to try to help make them work.
Yeah, you're a saint.
Yeah.
I'm just like an obsessed nerd.
You see
I
the
think more than
cry.
a saint. Uh,
The cry of the people.
The
And
Saint
Dwarf's
Dwarf.
just like, I'm needed. And there's a spotlight in in the sky, and he's
Yeah.
just answering furiously. Dwarf is typing.
That's it. And can we expect one of these previously ons for our upcoming Gloomhaven 2.0?
I hope so. I am less familiar with that campaign flow, so it'll take probably a couple of months to get in there. But there's smaller amount of scenarios to deal with. Yeah, I hope to. I mean, I will if nobody else does. So,
Yeah, you should.
know?
You should do it.
Well,
Well,
an expectation
and
now.
I say that because it is an immensely useful document. It's been really, really handy for us, but we've only really had it in like the last 20-30% of our campaign. And I mean, I think we were mostly the way through the story at that point, but there is this chunk
Right.
in the middle of Frosthaven where you tend to get time gated by all of the different storylines, and then you go off and get distracted. And I think that's where the major thing came back. We're like, oh wait, why are we coming back here again? Like, what part of this, like the Algoth storyline or the Lurker or whatever, are we doing, and what happened previously? So, I know that Gloomhaven doesn't have those pathing, like as the branching, sorry, that Frosthaven did, but I'm sure they've updated something. So I think it'd be really handy to have early on, because it was so good for us, like later on.
Yeah, I think it may end up even a little more complicated if I'm remembering right, because without spoiling anything, it was in the backer kit campaign. You have factions you're dealing with, and you might be friends with some, enemies with others, and some scenarios are certainly going to be unlocked in multiple, like, different ways. So I'll have to check into that when it's released. I didn't do as much like campaign level testing this time around.
I suppose if
okay.
you were to
So-
go ahead and write another previously on for 2.0, you kind of like before playing it in a way, does that not ruin the game for you in a way? Because you're kind of looking ahead all the time and like, yeah.
I mean, my whole, like, I'm going to put this in scare quotes, job is basically getting spoiled on everything.
Yeah.
But I mean, I knew how the whole Frosthaven campaign went. And although I'm not as familiar with like all the intricacies of how the Gloomhaven 2 campaign goes, I mean, I know all the things that you're going to unlock because that's just part and parcel to it.
Yeah.
Then, moderating the subreddit, once again, you gotta
Of course.
be the one who removes the spoilers, right? Then I'm also going to be working on the Gloomhaven 2E FAQ. So once again, I mean, I'm not in a position where I can worry about being spoiled about anything, is what it comes down to.
I guess
Mm.
you sorry, go.
Yeah, the only thing I really wasn't spoiled on in Frosthaven were the trials. I intentionally stayed away from those. And it was great. I love doing it.
The trials are
I
so
ended up
good.
getting spoiled on about half of them anyway, because, FAQ
Sorry.
stuff, but, it is what it is. And it hasn't ruined my enjoyment of the games, like, whatsoever.
Have you unlocked the trials in your campaign?
Yeah, we finished them all up. I got the same one that you got as my first one, Daddy. The pick these options.
Yeah, the A or B for the events.
It took me so long to get
Thank
that
you.
done because it was we had a couple of force link scenarios in there because it was near the end of the unfettered chain, and then for one of them, I just totally forgot I was supposed to be doing this. Everybody was looking at each other like, "Gosh, I don't know which one to pick." And then another time I did remember but I knew it was a terrible decision. So I tried to get them to make the terrible decision, and they were like, "No, I don't think that sounds like a good idea." So,
You got to
and
convince them. You got to
yeah,
convince them more.
I was terrible at it. But then my final one was the one where you hand out battle goals, 2-check battle goals to everybody. And that one was great.
I love that one.
Yeah, we did that on a night that only 3 of us could be there. So and everybody got them. It was awesome.
Yeah, that's so cool. When you complete it, what it unlocks the things. I can't remember what they're called.
Yes.
Something like
Favors. Bulldoze's
favors.
favors.
Have you used any of those? Because we never used them once. And we keep forgetting.
I know. We tried one of them once, and it was to remove, I think,
a monster card?
Yeah, it was to remove a monster card. I want to say we were trying to mess with deep terrors, but I don't remember specifically. And we're like, well, if we can pick like their summon card, it would be great if we could just
Dwarf, you've dropped out. Your audio has dropped out.
Can you hear me now?
Yep. That's all good.
That was my own damn fault. I accidentally hit my mute button on the headset.
Oh, okay.
That's not the error we were waiting for.
Right. What was the last thing I said? I can.
You were messing with deep terrors.
Oh yeah, messing with deep terrors, but that card didn't come up, so we haven't really touched them again since. The most common way people used those was to completely break the game's economy. The table's been eroded since, but originally, it would only cost 1 favor each time you pick the wealth favor. So you take out all like 7 negative points, and all of a sudden every coin you pick up is worth like 10 gold or something like that. So it got a little broken. It got eroded, so that one costs 2 now. And
those favors and that trial deck that would come out, would you say, towards the later end of most scenarios anyway? Oh, sorry, most campaigns.
We got it late middle.
Okay.
The last important building we unlocked was the jeweler.
Yeah, okay.
Right before.
Yeah, sorry, that's actually something I was wondering about, because you have made the PQ, like suggested PQ list, like these are the ones you should knock off at a certain point. Like, what else do you think that the game would benefit from without solving it? You don't have to have the answer for it or go through it, but just what kind of things do you think would work if they definitely came out earlier in the game? Like, to make sure that the experience was kind of, good, people got to play with them, etc.
Well, the reason I suggest like the PQ reordering is more just to tidy up the end game. actually, to make sure that the worst thing that can possibly happen, in my opinion, for the flow of your campaign is if you unlock the tavern or the stables in like year 4. Because if that happens, it stalls out all the rest of your progress and you can't move forward.
Yeah.
Mm.
So when I put that suggestion in the tweaks, that's just to ensure that just can't happen. Because there are people who pop up in the subreddit sometimes and elsewhere who are like, well, the tavern was the very last building we unlocked. So now I don't know how long it's going to take me going to every scenario, hunting down all these coins, because it's could take 10 scenarios from when you unlock it. And since that's a roadblock, boy, I'm just talking like there's no spoilers in the world whatsoever. So you'll probably need to put a big warning. Dwarfs bullshitting about absolutely everything in the game.
Absolutely everything.
At the start of this. But since it blocks the puzzle book around like page 15 or so, I think that prevents you from... It may even prevent you from getting the lurker line. I don't remember. Regardless, it needs to happen early. And then you also, with stables, you don't want to go on collecting missions when all your main quests are done. You're trying to wrap up the game.
Yeah,
you're ready
some of those
to...
pets are hard to find and all of that.
Oh, yeah.
Well, and you need them all for the puzzle book.
Yeah, you can make do if you only have like 7 or 8 a lot of the times, but some of the more critical ones are some of the ones that are harder to find, like the drakes.
Yeah,
that's what we ended up, right? We were missing the drakes, and we went to that one scenario and got both. So yeah, interesting. Yeah, so I guess those are 2 things that you want to make sure are open to stop blocking. What about just from a pure enjoyment? Like, what are the things you unlock that you think are awesome that you just wish, even without changing it, just like cross your fingers and hope that everyone unlocks these early because they're just lots of fun to play with?
I really wish the jeweler was earlier. In nearly every single one of my campaign tests, it was like the last building that I unlocked that wasn't a depot. And the jeweler has a lot of cool items in it too, it sucks that that's like stuck all the way at the end. Otherwise, I think with the little tweaks I suggested, it's generally okay. I like that accidentally makes you unlock both the buildings where gold helps early, because we were seeing that especially right when Frosthaven was released. A lot of people really mad that they had no use for their gold, and I love it from a thematic standpoint, because the idea is you're in Frosthaven. It's cold as shit up here. There's nowhere to spend gold. What good does gold do? You need the leather, you need the wood. But I guess everybody felt like they just retired and all their gold disappeared and it was worthless. And I mean, I guess that's not how I look at it, but I get it.
Yeah, well, that's the whole thing, right? I mean, the only time we really used the enchanter was like when people retired and just sold all their shit and then like spent it. That's the gold. The gold situation in Frosthaven overall is in a weird space and probably a conversation for another time. But I think that I like the material components and the gold, but it seems can be a bit wonky sometimes.
Yeah, it can be. And later in the campaign, I wish it was like an official unlock or something, but it probably can't because of PQs. I think as you get later in the campaign, it just makes sense to share all non-gold resources kind of collectively. Like everybody just pools together their lumber, their ore, their hide, and that way you stop needing to worry about individual inventories when you're talking about what to build and stuff like that. I think it is great for the early game, but later in the campaign, I think it just it feels like it's unnecessary. You shouldn't need to do that anymore. If you have your resource generating buildings built up to level 3 already, it might as well be all shared already, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's exactly what we found. It was a kind of case with the last few characters of people wanting to craft stuff, and you're just telling them that it costs them 2 gold per item thing that they want because they can buy it that way, or the herbs. I mean, having the herbs collectively used is good, but the problem is everyone just wants snow thistle, so it didn't matter. So it was really, you had to collect your own anyway.
Yeah, power pots. Anyone got power pots? Can we
Yeah,
buy
power pots. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you got to plant that one, man.
We did, but it was just people were just like hovered over. It was like the start of an MMO, like the day one of MMO. Everyone's just crowded around this one plant. Just every time it would spawn,
Right-click
just grab.
spamming.
Yeah, yeah. And then you had to get
Yep.
them to stop eating the one that was planted. It's like, no, if you eat that one, we don't have any. Like,
Yeah.
Frosthaven has one of the most iconic sidekicks, I guess, in probably board gaming history. I'm going to throw it out there and say this is number one. Ormi, probably one of the most fun additions to the game. Something that we've obviously integrated as a segment, and probably for every game we ever play ever. Like we play Nemesis, and it's like, do you reckon Ormi will be all right at Nemesis right now? Do you have an Ormi story? Because I don't remember whether or not you mentioned it last time we spoke.
That little bastard has not showed his face in our campaign yet.
Wow.
If I was inclined to cheat, I would have lifted that card to the top long ago. We have just entered year 4 summer. Yeah, I don't know if we're ever going to see that little jerk. And we're probably absolutely never going to see his ascended form.
Because, as you get towards the end, the scenarios are more complicated and harder.
Yeah.
Like, it's not looking good for him.
No,
when he does show up.
No. Frosthaven just has some real rough scenarios that you need to be very... you need to have a specific strategy in mind, and you have to pursue that strategy. And an NPC like Ormi doesn't understand that. He doesn't give a shit. He's out there to go and kill monsters or break up piles of snow or stand still and hit a piece of machinery or an icicle just forever. Yeah, it's really funny. I remember getting that event when I was testing and thinking, oh, that is super cool. And then, yeah, it's just never come up in my game, and I'm honestly kind of pissed about it. On the other hand, we've had the same event come up 3 different times where it's like, do you have the charged core? Oh, no, we don't have that either yet.
What?
Well, that's not an event this week then. Cool. So, yeah. We're getting screwed there, guys. Yeah.
Yeah, it is interesting because I mean, the event system is great and I love the randomness of it, and it really makes each playthrough individual. And when things line up or sync up, it feels really cool. Plus, you get those really awesome aha moments when, you work things out or stuff happens in some particular order. In saying that, though, right, as a deck of cards can do, it can make the order of things random and random bad. And I almost feel like, again, if Gloomhaven and Frosthaven were completely reimagined and never opened as board games but came as digital games always, I feel like some kind of pity system in the event deck would be required so that you couldn't get that same one 3 times, and it would know and stack that. And if you haven't gotten Ormi after X amount of time, then its percentage chances increase. Just that way of stacking the deck so that the experience curve is smoother. Not so much it's just more powerful or better, but just so that your fun levels don't dip. Because as you said, pulling the same event 3 times that does nothing, and it does nothing. I mean, that's just luck of the draw, right?
I think we again did the 3rd time, but I mean, in my tweaks, I do recommend lifting up a barracks upgrade
Mm.
in year one winter, just because that being random kind of I don't like that that's so random.
It should have been printed on the calendar at
Yeah,
the end of year
something
one or
printed on the
something.
calendar to let you upgrade would have been really cool. I agree with you. But that's not how it came about. I don't know that I would recommend lifting Ormy because no matter how cool he is, and even though the two of you are obsessed with him, um, you know, he's very technically skippable. But
Yeah.
I love how he has become the amDirt mascot for every single scenario. I am so glad that you guys kept that segment just like every single week.
Well, you're the only one because we get feedback from listeners and also members of the group that say they don't give two shits about him. So no, it
Well,
is interesting, and I think if you knew when he was like which scenario he was coming at, like if it was a calendar event, then again you can manipulate it a bit more because you'd be like, oh, let's go do this one because we know this is an easy one or a good one. I think the randomness of it just randomly appearing, going like, hey, I'm going to come with you, and I mean, you know when you get it because you can say yes or no, right? So you kind of have an idea and you can read ahead. But like, I mean, well, how much do you really know? Especially if you don't read any of the information of the scenario you're going to before you go there, like we do.
right. Yeah, I mean, that's yeah, I think a lot of people don't read like the info for any scenario they've unlocked before they actually go to it. But you're allowed to. You're allowed to look there. It makes a lot of personal quests like a lot less long. Um, like one about herbs. It's intended. You're supposed to be able to say, well, shit, I need a rock root and a flame fruit. Which of the open scenarios do we have has those? And for you to be able to pick that and just go to it. But yeah, I think a lot of people don't. I think a lot of people don't. And a lot of people, I'm going to bet many an Ormy has died because people just,
That's what I want to hear. As sad as that is, because it's such a, is this an Ormy scenario? It's because I want to hear someone say it was for us and this is what happened. And I don't know. It's like Lemming. It's like the game Lemmings. It's just we're hearing all the different ways that Ormy's just been blown up or died or eviscerated, etc.
there have been a couple of different Reddit threads, I think, talking about people's Ormy experiences. I don't know that they've gotten a ton of responses, but makes me think of you. I now associate Ormy with you guys, so congratulations.
Hell yeah.
Oh well, maybe one day in a future Haven game we can get a Deddy and Gaz who can be in an event and do a similar thing.
But
There you
Gaz
go.
runs around and just misses all the time, and I'm just dying.
Yeah. One of them is the first time in the scenario you draw, you miss. Put it back on top of your deck.
Get you two to guest design a scenario, and all of a sudden you make shit like doors walking around, and
that's a great idea.
Snow imps. Yeah, okay. See what I'm saying? And you make imps who are always brittle.
Permanently brittle.
Yeah.
Logs that are impassable.
Yeah.
That would actually be sick to make a whole scenario based on just little mistakes that we have made along the way.
Yeah, I'll have to go through and make a list of that and see what we can do.
Take your time, dude. Take your time.
I mean, just release it as fan content. People would love it. Just do it.
So remind me, have you played Gloomhaven? Because when I first met you, I think you got introduced to the game with Frosthaven. Is that right?
No, I played a bunch of Gloomhaven.
Okay.
The second printing Kickstarter was where I got really into it, and then I just kind of became pretty obsessed. We did not end up finishing our physical board game version of it because originally it was kind of an alternating weeks thing with the regular RPG I was running, and it just kind of fell apart a little bit. I did end up winning it in digital, but you know,
Yeah.
never in like a physical copy of it. But yeah, I played quite a bit of it. Posted too much about it. Watched a few too many live streams, and yeah.
So what I wanted to know was the addition of Shrike Fiends and Borrowing Blades, the Frosthaven monsters. Do you like the designs of those and what they brought to, I guess, the world?
Yes. But damn, they're hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love Shrike Fiends. I'm sorry. I
No,
think
I did
they're
too.
cool monsters. I think when I was playing Bone Shaper, I hated seeing them, and they are maybe a little unfair to summoning classes. Because made a
That
joke a
giant
while
range
back.
5 pull,
Yeah.
and then everyone
Kill everything.
Yeah, every one of their cards, it either reads being an asshole again or being an asshole and all your summons are dead. Those are their only two cards. And it's I think it's damn good they don't have a shield. I wish they weren't immune to so many things.
They're
I wish
birds,
they
man. They're
less
just
hit
groups of birds.
points. I know. And man, we got wrecked by them early in our campaign during one of my favorite scenarios, scenario 32, which is where they keep on popping out of a
Raven
tree.
Roost?
Yep, Raven's Roost. Yeah, it's one of my favorites.
Same. I love that.
Yeah, but we had just like gotten high enough level that we were in scenario level, I think scenario level 2, when we hit that. And they go from kind of scary to super damn dangerous just like I think it's between levels 1 and 2, because their attack value goes up. It only goes up by 1, but they're doing target 3, target 4, target everybody, all over the place. So yeah, them and bolt shooters have kind of that effect where it's like, well, on the one hand, their attack did only go up by 1, but on the other hand, there's 4 of us, and we're all getting hit by that extra 1 by every single one of them every single turn. So, but yeah, I love them.
I'm pretty sure we had bolt shooters in the bin when we did our first monster tier list, because the only time we saw them like maybe 2 or 3 times, and they just didn't do anything at all. Like they either couldn't hit us or they were doing 1 damage, like to a couple of targets. And then halfway through the campaign, maybe it was towards the end of the unfettered line, we must have gone up in difficulty just because character level, and suddenly like they were tearing us apart, and we're like, wait, what? Hang on, when did this happen? When did they get an upgrade? Like, so it's the monster level, yeah, you're right, can have a particular kind of influence on the power level of certain monsters over others.
That's another one where they are so much scarier in 4-player than they are in 2-player, and they're terrifying if you have a bunch of summons running around, because you soon won't have a whole lot of summons running around.
There's no target limit, is there, on the pure damage, everything, all of that. So yeah, it's so hard to avoid. I can't even remember how early it goes.
Yeah, the elites are target 4, I think, and then eventually they draw their 1 Bone Shaper card that or not Bone Shaper, sorry, Living Bones card that's like, sorry, I'm just gonna keep on attacking this one guy over and over and over again. Yeah, I understand throwing him in the bin, because at certain levels, it's like, oh, okay, whatever. We're getting attack 1s, attack 0s. That's shit. But when they move up to like attack 2 or 3, then 1 times 4 is just 4. 3 times 4, we're all of a sudden talking 12 damage spread among everybody. And again, they have long enough range that it's just good they're slow. So
Yeah, and I think that's what happened. We had them in that ruined corridor one, the one that collapses. I can't remember what it's called. And
yeah.
yeah, and that's where we had them first. And I think where they were positioned, I also needed to kill them, I think, for my PQ. I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure that was the
Oh, yeah.
last two I needed. So I remember just going like, I'm just going to go straight for them. So not only did I prioritize them, but I was close enough to them that they didn't really move closer. And I think maybe you got like 1 or 2 shots off. So we're like, those things are shit. They don't do anything. They just sit there. So
Yep. And it's true. If you can crowd control them hard enough, then yeah, they're worthless. But there's just certain scenarios where they're just an absolute menace. My I think my least favorite new monsters are burrowing blades, and that's not for any particular reason, just because I hate dealing with that combination of super mobile, wounding everybody, and they got infinite shields. That's not a criticism on the monster. That's just like, God damn it, these guys again.
Bone shapers also don't like them.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of monsters like that. Weird, huh?
Bone shapers are having a bad time with a lot of this new kind of stuff. What about your fixes for? I guess we've had a chat in the past about Blink Blade is OP and this is this and this and this,
Right.
etc. And you constantly bang your power potion drum, right? Let's have a little chat around power potions and what are they good for the game and how would you fix them if you could fix them? Go for it.
So the first fix that I was trying to get some traction on was the minor power potions are +1 to 1 ability, and the major power potions are +1 for your whole turn. Basically, the current minor one.
Gotcha.
But I was talked into just make him ability, and I think that's also fine. Frosthaven has a lot of classes whose power is in making a lot of attacks. Blink Blade, Kelp, sometimes Coral,
Drill.
and what? Drill sometimes.
Yeah.
Yep. And it's just an expected potion value for a power potion. I think if you're getting about, 6-ish points of effort, that's, about a good target to aim for, to me, for a major power potion. And for a minor one, around like 3. And you can kind of see that. You can see with the way the potions are designed.
The healing.
You have
and all
healing
that.
potions. That one will heal 6, or it heals 3. The direct damage potions are a little weaker. They do 2 damage or 4 damage to one target. But that's kind of where they're aimed at. And with major power potions and minor power potions being able to stack, there's too many classes, in my opinion, that can turn that expected 9 points of effort into 30 points of effort, 40, etc.
Yeah.
So by changing it to ability, you're still keeping it really good. But it's really good for a smaller subset of characters. Like Snowdancer. They're still freaking awesome if you're throwing around big AoEs.
Yeah.
Anybody who throws out a lot of attacks is still going to find them really good. But I think they are, by a pretty fair margin, the strongest items in the game as they are right now. Just like stamina potions were in Gloomhaven First Edition. And I think that by being so powerful, they narrow your gameplay by creating like just a one best strategy that and turning other players into supporting characters if they're left unnerved. Now, if that's your jam, if you like going in and figuring out exactly how to break the game, then don't listen to me. I'm just a guy on the internet. But balance-wise, I think it is a good for the game. I think it is very good for balance, strategy, available character builds. It's good for variety of items and everything else if they're kept to a much lower level than they are right now.
Are they in 2.0?
What was that?
Are they in
Oh,
2.0 the same?
I don't remember if that has been revealed or not,
Okay.
so I kind of don't want to talk about them, but I
Totally.
can say that in general, if you see something in Frosthaven, it is not going to get changed over much when you see it again in Gloomhaven 2. But also that everybody is extremely aware of some of the problems that arose with Frosthaven balance sometimes. So,
So
yeah.
yeah, I'm not sure if you're aware, but me and Daddy have had a couple of conversations about items in the recent few weeks. Maybe a few controversial kind of where we've put things and where we've discussed things. One of the interesting parts out of all of that, and it was a lot of fun, and we had some good conversation on the Discord. But one of the things that I learned out of going through all that, other than kind of because I haven't read through all the items, we haven't unlocked everything, so it was good to see.
Mhm.
Is just the amount of stuff that isn't worth taking compared to like the top tier in that slot, right?
Yeah.
And not, that's not this not to have the conversation about what's the most powerful, what isn't, but
Right.
there are just within each category, there are a bunch of items that are just going to be the best. And that's not even just the best for like, oh, it does the most damage, but sometimes it's like a really useful ability that you just want to have that is way more commonly useful than something else. If you were to think, and I'm just putting you on the spot a little bit, right? But if you were gonna like make a change to the item system, because we've
Oh,
had basically
God.
the same. No, hang on. Just I'll narrow it down. So it's not. Yeah, but we've had basically the same system from Gloomhaven and Frosthaven with the slots. Like, so you have your head,
Yeah.
your chest, your feet, all that kind of stuff. Do you think that there is anything they could do? Have you got any ideas of what they could do to make the variety a bit better in what people could take? Because I mean, for your example of power pots, and the reason why is it narrows the focus, right?
Yeah.
There are those same items, but in the other slots. Have you got any general ideas? And again, not solutions. It's just like kind of things that would be
Right.
cool to make it so that like the items that people picked were a lot more varied, or people could have more varied items.
I might be the wrong guy for that because I think we do have a lot of really good items for a lot of open slots. Now I don't think I think most of the time what you're seeing is an item is really good for a specific character. Like on my fist, I have footwear where every time I move 4 or more, I get to heal 1. The endurance foot wraps. That's not a thing that I would take on a lot of characters, but on Frozen Fist, my goodness, it does everything I want it to do. I'm not going to say there's no garbage items. I agree there's a lot of garbage items. We just had Reddit post today about rust powder, which is one of the, in my opinion, worst small items in the game.
Yeah, I think Gaz said that.
What?
Hmm?
I think Gaz
You
also
have that on your shit
binned
list?
it. I can't
Look,
remember.
I think I really like on that one as the example. I think I really like that one, but it's too weak.
Oh.
Yeah, exactly. It's a good idea. I think it needs to be a little better. Right now, the narrow niche for it is I'm going to be facing steel automatons who are immune to poison.
Mhm.
So this is my way to fake poison them. Yeah, I think some items could be made better. You do run into an issue with granularity where if you tweak a number by even 1, all of a sudden something could become too good. You change an item from lost to spent, then it's all of a sudden broken. Somebody had mentioned that with the boosts of transference the other week. Boots of transference, cool item, especially if you're the trap class. Those are the ones where you step on a trap and you apply the effects to an enemy up to 3 hexes away. Narrow. I can't imagine too many people taking them who aren't playing trap. But on that class, it's really, really good. they're lost because at the top end, you can imagine a situation where you're in a higher level scenario. Each trap's doing 7-8 damage. You don't want that to be a tap item because then you're looking at 21, 24 pure damage easily over the course of a scenario with your foot slot items. And that's, again, we're entering power potion territory again. So, but I'm sorry, I'm going off on a tangent already.
No.
But
That's fine.
I think the item system could be revised technically. I think that it would be a hard thing to do so with the
So
goal
hard.
of keeping compatibility.
Yeah.
Because you want to have any character able to be brought into any game. And if you start messing with that too much, I think that really opens up whole cans of worms.
But I think one of the things that I noticed that would be a cool way to, because the small items in particular are some of the most interesting and fun designs through Frosthaven, and I'm sure they are in Gloomhaven as well. And they get, unfortunately, and we've talked about power potions, but they get dominated by these really stock standard, boring type of items that are just good, right? And I wonder if the even looking at things like, because there seems to be this kind of clear cut between there's a bunch of potions and there are a bunch of like non-potion small items. I even wonder if things like limiting the amount of potions someone can take, if it creates too much of a restriction. Obviously, I don't know the implications, but just going like, hey, you can pick 2. And then the rest of your small items need to actually not be potions. It was just, I don't know, I love the idea of forcing people to go find interesting things. But at the same point, then that's a restriction, and it just kind of can maybe mess up with some things. So I don't know.
I also like the idea of, the take what you get for potions. And that's why I think the alchemy board is so awesome. I wish it could last through the entire frickin' game. Because the thing that creates where you're going through early game, you brew a potion, you don't know what it is. You get to discover what it is, figure out who it's best for, and they'll stick with it, even though it's not like one of the top tier best in slot items. I remember, I think Renewing Potion was the first thing I got for my Banner Spear, and that was actually an awesome item. And I think I've just taken it on my Frozen Fist too. But yeah, but it's not like one of those ones that you will obviously say this is the first thing you take. I do wish there was a little more of that. I don't know a good system to make that happen. I think the game kind of takes swipes at that by letting you use any item you loot from a random item card or a chest, let you use it for the rest of the scenario so you can give it a trial run. And so everything at least sees use once. But yeah, it's an interesting area to think about and talk about. And I'm really hoping whatever game comes up next has something as cool as the alchemy board to kind of push in that direction of items don't have to always be the most powerful. Sometimes they can just be cool and fun.
Yeah. So. I love it. Gonna go down a little bit of a spice path with a couple of things.
Okay.
I asked Gaz, I think last week in our wrap up, I asked him to basically pick out of the Frosthaven cast 3 characters to play either again or for the first time, and 3 to delete from the franchise. Forever.
Oh shit! All right.
I kind of want to know, what are we playing again for the first time, and what no longer exists because of your click?
All right. Well, I'll go with the easy ones first. The Algox classes are and remain my favorites in the game. They are unique, they're simple, they're fun. You can get a lot of mileage out of them. They're by far my favorites. I would gladly play any of them again. I would also gladly play Banner Spear again.
That's right.
Banner Spear was an absolute blast.
Consistent.
What?
It's consistent. You still love Banner Spear, and you still love your other 2 Algox. So
still love my Algox, yeah. I don't know that I would want to delete any class from the game forever because, I mean,
Think of it
other
this way.
people than me love playing them.
No, 100%. There are 17 classes. Ranking them from first to 17. What are the
Yeah.
bottom 3? So they're not
Okay.
deleted now.
Right. Oh, okay. Well, as long as they're not deleted, I might be tempted to throw Blinkblade down in there, just
Fair.
just as a to say, yes, we get it. You're very, very good with damage. You're very strong. You're very fast. Very special. Then what else? Damn. Everybody always says Geminate, and it feels like a cop-out to say Geminate. I think it needed a little more time in the oven, but I think that's an easy one and a nice... It's not a cop-out, because I think it is in that list. If I have a list of bottom 3s, it's in the bottom.
Yeah, it's your list. It's personal.
Yeah. Then I don't think I could ever see myself
Just hold that
playing
thought.
Prism.
Oh, never mind. I was going to say Gaz and I will guess it, but that's fine.
Okay. What was going to be your guess?
I don't know. I would have sat there and now thought about it, but it's all right.
Okay. Yeah, I'm going to say Prism just because I'm too dumb for it, I think.
I hear you.
Yep. So yeah.
It's not that hard. Like
I know.
no,
I think. Okay.
yeah, like and I think you mentioned that one of the players at your table is playing the range build. I can remember there was a Reddit thread a couple of months ago where someone's just like, I think they had to play it or their friend had to play it. They might have started one. They're like, we're really confused. We don't get how it works. It's blah blah blah. And it's so funny because the range of comments were everything from like, this is like 4D chess like upside down with a blindfold on, and other people were like, it's not. But like, I think it depends on how you pick it, because the range build, and I don't want to say easy because it's kind of detracting from how people play it, but there are a lot less decisions to make along the way with the range build, that still gets to use all of the cool things that class does, right?
Yeah.
But it just doesn't force you into that spatial puzzle that kind of with switching around lots makes you do, because you're kind of more reliant on you just buffing yourself up to be awesome and then jumping back and forwards a couple of times. So I think there is, again, a play style for that, but it's got a stigma of like, oh no, it's too hard.
Our Prism players started with your very traditional kind of bounce around between my summons kind of setup, but then picked up Code Geminate at 6th and was like, this handful of cards, like this card to turn my melee into ranged and this card to give all my ranged multi-target, this can't possibly work together, does it? And I'm like, no, that's really one of the most popular ways to play the class. And he's been doing it ever since, and it's been kind of a rock star. Sometimes we get to see the healed drone come out too, and it usually heals my frozen fist because I'm always short on health for some reason.
Well, that was probably my biggest disappointment with the Prism, was that the melee build to bounce around didn't get as much support through the cards as I would have liked. I feel like it was, I don't want to say harder, but definitely a lot more difficult to coordinate and seemed to be more lackluster. Whereas I was constantly looking at my cards going like, man, if I just change these 2 cards, I could just sit here and kill everything. Like, everything would have poison and be taking you shitloads of damage every round. But I'm not. Instead of that, I'm trying to work out this puzzle, which was fun, and it was my choice. But yeah, it was kind of a bit annoying in that sense.
Yeah, I love the class. It's just not one that I'd play. I might also not play Deathwalker. I can't get my head around that class either. I love it. I love everything it does. I loved having it at the table. It's just one that is tough for me to, get in my head.
I almost rolled Deathwalker at the end. I almost did. I chose Geminate because I was like, do I really want to play with the shadow tokens? Do I really want to work out a puzzle on the board? My brain is not ready for that. I'll just go towards the guy who can't hit things that are right next to it sometimes because I'm in the wrong fucking form and don't have a swap on me and all that. Yeah, so I was very close to picking Deathwalker, but at the same time, I get what you mean. It's like, am I ready for that?
I love that. It's like, do I really want to deal with a puzzle on the board? No. I better take the easy route and choose Geminate, right? Where I can't do anything.
Hey, I'm all about the cop out. Okay?
Yeah.
Speaking of, Gaz, I'm deeply hurt. You hurt my feelings, Gaz.
Gaz, why? I would like to know what he's done.
spent 15 whole minutes writing up a bullshit Google Docs thing for your second time through the challenge deck, and you just forgot about it, man. You forgot about it.
We didn't forget about it, but the game didn't provide us with the space to actually do the challenges. Like, I was very disappointed
with you, dude.
No. I get it, and that's one thing we discussed, and I did talk about Daddy with this a couple of weeks ago. I was just like, we had these kind of ideas that were thrown out there, and we never really got to play around with them. And it's funny because I think we finished the challenge deck, and then we're like, no more challenges. And then I reckon within a few weeks, we then started bumping the difficulty up, which, I mean, nobody had suggested at all. So we kind of discovered that mechanic all by ourselves.
Nobody. Weird.
Yeah. Nobody other than the entire internet and every person in our Discord for weeks and weeks and weeks. But then because we did that, I remember we tried, I think Mark still needed to get through a couple for his PQ. So we were throwing 1 or 2 in there. But then once we got rid of them, we were struggling to finish scenarios on +2. So we weren't really going to make it harder. And so
you guys were playing on +2. You had enough to handle. I would not. Like our own challenge deck, we haven't touched it in a while because we're down to like the really shit ones. And I don't mean bad. I mean like this feels more than +1 to me right now. Like the one that strengthens all the monsters as soon as you hurt one.
Yeah, we kept that one towards the end as well, actually. That was one of the last 4 I think we had.
And I keep on encouraging my own group. Like, they're worried about the one where you take out all the +0s. I'm like, I think that would be fine. I mean, you get a lot more pluses, but you also get a lot more minuses. I think it'll be fine. I think that's a net, like, minimal impact on game difficulty. But, something like all the monsters have advantage against you almost all the time is right out. Or I think the one where you're removing negative cards from the deck as they keep on drawing them, I think we have skipped that one too for now. We have skipped my... Oh, sorry.
No, you're all right. Finish.
I have also skipped my personal favorite, which is take a class box, pick 5, modifiers out of there and then shuffle it. Because it's like we're using Xhaven, and we don't want to sully our hands with... an actual monster modifier deck.
Yeah, we did.
Nah, but yeah, it is it's interesting with those ones because we ended up with a couple. We were seemed to be completely fine with stacking the monster AMD and making that worse for us, which was fine. But the ones we didn't want were things where the monsters got abilities or shields or retaliate or stuff like that. So, and some of them can just be rough when you look at the monster combinations and you go, or I don't want them all having 1 more shield, right? Like we can't get through the shields at the moment. So but no, it was something that we wanted to do, and I really appreciate you doing that. And it was cool at the time because we're like, we'll work through the challenge deck because this had become such a core part of what we were doing. Like when we talk about buildings and when you unlock them, this is one of the ones that I feel like I want everyone for their game experience to probably have probably early second year. You've got a feel for the game. You've gone through enough scenarios that, you kind of know what's going on. And it's like, hey, bam, here's a way of just, slightly increasing the difficulty. That's one that I'd be worried that people got really late and didn't have a chance, not even because they unlock stuff. It's more just because it's fun, and I think about when me and Daddy have been looking at our best and worst scenarios, some of those are based on the challenge cards we had. Like, you know, we had that one with the it's an unfettered line one where the roof collapses as you go through and you got to get to the end. The one we had with that one was that anytime someone takes a damage, someone else takes a damage, like one damage.
Oh, that one.
Right?
Yeah, that one.
And
yeah.
that in my head, that's a core mechanic of that scenario. And that's why I was like, that was really hard. And it wasn't until like I think we were reviewing it and going through. I'm like, wait, we made that happen. Like that's not
that
even
was your
on
fault.
yeah. It's not even on the scenario. So it's like it's so cool that they can morph and change those experiences in a way where they can bump up or even make something really, really hard. So yeah, I think the challenge deck is one of the kind of best things that got introduced in Frosthaven.
I am glad you loved it. I was worried about it initially, but I think it's awesome too. I love what it adds to the game. The main thing I wish is that it's presented as a very optional thing. I think it is optional on a per scenario basis for sure, but on a whole campaign level, it's not really optional at all. You really need to engage with that. I know you don't care about the Town Guard modifier decks. I don't think many people do. But you sure care about all those scenarios you unlock. So yeah. I love it. I'm really glad that's in like the first 5 buildings you can unlock. It's level 1 on all those PQs.
You're having technical difficulties. It's a great photo though. How good was your chat with Dwarf? And he's just sleeping.
This is going to go into the blooper reel.
Dwarf, come back.
We're going to have to finish.
Okay,
the,
oh God. Okay, I lost you.
Yeah.
I'm back.
We lost
I went.
You.
Yes. Yeah. I'm sure you'll edit that out in post.
Nope.
Here, I am looking it up, and I guess I will run you through choose your own adventure style.
Oh, nice.
Okay, so situation is you have completed all your challenges the second time around. Clint, the Inox record keeper at the town hall, looks up as you turn in the result of your most recent challenge. Well, look at you overachievers. I tried to put you off the last time, but you've just gone and done it again. All the challenges. Hooray. Aren't you special? Here, I'll put this into the fireplace along the last set. Everyone thinks you're a knob, working so hard. Take it easy. You're making the rest of us look bad. As you watch in shock, Glint tosses the results of your work into the fire. The flames burn hot. They burn really hot. They begin to glow. And then the fireplace begins to melt as a flame demon pulls itself through a new rift in the plains. Time's up, Glint, the demon hisses, its voice is water dripping onto a hot stone. You've run long enough, and your account is due. Glint shrieks like a vermling encountering a giant cat as the town hall itself catches on fire. No, I paid you back. Look, I had these idiots do every single stupid thing you asked them to do. They're on the, in the fire with you. Burning. Guys, a little help here, please. And it's your choice now. Option A, nobody deserves to be eaten by a flame demon, even Glint. Fight the flame demon. Option B, the papers aren't burned up yet. Maybe you can salvage some of them. Choose this if you're boring. Option C, he just called you a bunch of tryhards. Let him burn. Delight in the flames.
Oh no, we have a real life event. Now
you have a real life event. Yeah, think of it like a section book, but written worse.
Oh no, I know that was amazing writing, by the way. I felt
so good.
Now you're going to get to see the paralyzing decision making that we need to go through when we.
What do you want to do?
What do you want to do?
What do you want to do?
What do you want to do? Look, as much of a dick as Glint has been, I feel like we probably should save him and kill the fire demon. But there is a part of me that also wants to watch him burn.
Just to pick the maximum chaos option.
Save him because we can just kill him later, right?
That's
That'd be
true.
me.
Baldur's Gate kind of style, right? Like, you know,
Quick load.
you get the reward and then you kill him for whatever else he's got.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, would you believe that's actually an option as we keep going here? But okay. So option A. For a group of experienced adventurers such as yourselves, a single flame demon is a trivial challenge. Unfortunately, that demon brought friends. The battle lasts only a short while, but the town hall's a lost cause. Flames leap from the building, but Glint makes it out safely. Oh, wow. Thanks. I really appreciate it, guys. I was just kidding back there. You're awesome. Hey, on the next adventure, do you mind if I tag along for, old time's sake? Old time's sake? You can't remember any old times with this Inox. No good ones, anyways. So the result is you wreck the town hall. Then your favorite, you gain 2 morale. Or 10 collective gold. You start the next scenario with wound. And Glint will accompany you for any future scenarios until he dies, because I knew you loved Ormy so much. Why not give you Ormy Part 2? He's an ally with a bunch of stats. He can also carry L divided by 2 items with him donated by the players. Any character can use one of those items while adjacent to him. Once per turn, but each item can only be used once per scenario. And when he dies, you see outcome Z. Or I guess you're Australian. I have to call it outcome Z, perhaps.
Oh, right.
Okay.
That is so cool.
Really cool.
I want to go back and play Frosthaven again and get that.
So option Z, by the way. So outcome Z, eventually he dies, right? Well, it happened. It's kind of sad. Glint just wasn't cut out for adventuring. He was kind of unsettling to be around anyways, when it comes down to it. You decide to give him a dungeon burial, looting his corpse and leaving him naked for monsters to devour. At least, that was the plan. You try to move the Inox, but you find he's weirdly lighter than you expected. In fact, you're shocked to find the Inox wasn't an Inox at all. It may have been one at one time, but it certainly isn't now. It's a hollowed-out Inox skin, worn by a mound of bugs. Fine, I guess my true form is revealed. I was the Geminate all along. You never gave me the respect I deserved, and Glint seemed like the perfect revenge. Well, joke's on me, I guess. Ha ha. Well, now you're stuck with me. One of your companions screams in frustration and stalks away. Oh, well, looks like there's an opening for us. Geminate's back, baby. And what would have happened is one character immediately completes their personal quest to retire.
Oh, no.
And then the Geminate joins the party in their stead. Because that was back when you were like, maybe I should play Geminate. And I wanted to kind of force the issue.
That would have been amazing. Holy shit.
That is so cool.
Mate, that was so good. That was so good.
Well, thank you. Do you guys want to hear option C just in our last couple of minutes? All right. Losing Glint is hard, but not that hard. In fact, it feels kind of like a relief that there's no more challenges. Mayor Satha joins the rest of the town people around the town hall ruins, warming themselves by the embers. Well, I wish you hadn't let the town hall get destroyed, but I suppose I understand. Next time we'll make sure to hire a record keeper who's got fewer demonic reputation points. The wreckage shifts, interrupting the mayor mid-consolation. Piles of flaming papers erupt from the town hall. The guard runs off to minimize the damage from the explosion. As you watch, hands on your weapons, the flame demon from the fire pit emerges. Well, it seems like you can't extort help like you used to anymore. I'm your new record keeper! Listen up, worms, we have some work to do. Glint has volunteered to help you out. At first you think it's smoke, but then you realize it isn't. It's insects, hundreds of them. They start swarming from the wreckage with a smoldering facsimile of an Inox costume, serving as a sort of robe. Fine, they chitter. You caught me. We were the Geminate all along. Didn't you notice you never saw us and Glint in the same place? We're in this together now. Maybe I'll get the respect I deserve. And you would have lost 20 morale from that.
Nice.
So
Perfect.
yeah. And then it's a couple other things. So anyway, yep.
Oh, I love
Well
I
it.
was
done,
hoping you
dude.
would get to that, but
Oh my god. It was so worth it just to hear it all now, man. It was so good.
Amazing. No, that was such a cool wrap up, and I love how you brought so many of the things that were going on for us as well into that. No, very, very enjoyable, and I think it needs to be recorded somewhere and put down as an actual like once you complete the deck again, read this and go through it.
Well, I posted the link somewhere around. I'll post it on your Discord or something, so you can go in for yourselves. So
You could have put it on the subreddit and say this is an alternate.
no,
Yes, because then everyone will be like, "Oh, it's official." You can put it in the
No, because they'll
FAQ.
complain about being the Geminate now. They're like, this stupid event made me the Geminate. I don't want.
I wrote it specifically to troll you guys. I think it belongs with you.
That's fair.
If we did it and we rap like that, we would 100% do what it says.
Oh,
Like
yeah,
whoever
totally.
had that would have just swapped. Like imagine if it was Phil or someone like that.
So good. So good. Like there would have been no outcome there that wouldn't have been the best.
Yeah.
Like anyone in our group that had got that would have been great. So no, thank you so much for putting that together. I feel really bad that we didn't get to it within the campaign, but I am glad that we got to read it and he did a great job with the writing and the voices as well, by the way.
So much.
That's I can see your DM experience coming to shine there.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I've been DMing games for like a stupid amount of time, like 1981, 1982. Of course, I was like 8, but and they sucked. But it's gone on ever since. But hey, I just wanted to thank you guys for bringing me on again. It was real nice talking.
Oh, we love having you here, man.
Yeah, really enjoyed listening to you. I look forward to hearing how Crimson Scales goes. This is going to be new for me because I know nothing about Crimson Scales, just about.
How are you going to answer our questions? I don't understand.
Yeah, where's the FAQ?
Yeah. Well, you're screwed.
We're not. We're going to ask you anyway, and you provide the best answer you can, even if it's completely wrong and you absolutely screw us. Go for it.
Yeah.
No, you got Stinky on your Discord. You got CGO on your Discord. They are very worthy people to be answering questions about Crimson Scales, I would say. So,
yeah.
No, absolutely. No, thank you. Like, I'll be real. Like, you've been a big supporter of us since the start. When we were stumbling our way through and just trying to get everything together, it was always just to have someone so accessible as well. You were so accessible. You were answering everything that we were having issues with, and you were guiding us along the way. And like and it's not the same if we didn't meet you.
Aww.
And I mean that. So
now you're going to make me cry on camera. So.
And if you don't, Deddy can just CGI it in there. He's good with his
editing. There you go. Teardrop.
Yeah, and I echo what Deddy said. It's funny, just kind of leading into this recording, I was talking to my partner and saying, we're having a chat with one of the people in the community, and I was like, it's actually the first person that we spoke to. And I was thinking back, I was like, wow, that was so long ago. And I remember not knowing anything. And I mean, we don't know anything and we're still terrible now, but we finished the campaign somehow. But it's just been such a long time. And it's been 18 months or so. And you have been part of the community the whole time. And like, I see how many random questions you get from people on the internet. I send you my own random questions and you still reply nicely, like you're polite with me, which is good. And you're there to help everyone just enjoy stuff. And I have to echo what Deddy's saying. It wouldn't have been the same experience, I think, through not only just us playing, but us building the little community that we've got, if you hadn't jumped in so early and been part of that, because I think you really have created a kind of a rock there to help us kind of build something that's been really fun.
Well, no, thank you guys. It's been great. I've really enjoyed every episode of the podcast. I love podcasts in general. I love Frosthaven. So, you guys doing both of them rolled into one was fantastic. And I can't believe you stuck with it. My goodness.
Yeah, I think that's
Yeah,
one of the
same.
hardest things. I can't believe we stuck with it.
Yeah. I mean, man. And what you have here is like hundreds of hours at this point of that's a record of an experience your group had. You know, not just together, but like with the whole community. And thank you for sticking with it. I really hope after Crimson Skills you have enough gas left in the tank to hit GH2. If you don't, I understand, because that's a lot of Haven, and not everybody is like the completely obsessive kind of nerd that I am. So, it's
Completely fair.
But yeah, thank you guys, and thank you for bringing me back on the pod again. It's been a blast.
Oh, look, it won't be the last time we see you on here. Like,
I hope not.
No, I think we'll definitely organize something to try and bring you back a little bit more often, just to have little catch ups and
Cool.
and all of that.
We'll bring you on for Crimson Scales halfway through. And we're like, sorry, here are all these classes and these questions before you go.
Yeah, and I'll be like,
Yeah, you'll be like, I hate how this card is written. The formatting hurts me.
yeah, and I'll look at it and I'll say, yeah, I agree.
Sure.
Well, with that, thank you for joining us on our chat. This is to everyone out there with the one and only Dwarf74. Thank you so much, Gaz, as well for coming along as well for the whole
Thanks.
ride as well. Dwarf, take us out.
And when it comes to rolling terribly, it's your line. It's all in the. It's all in the
wrist.
Wrist?
Yes. Yes. All right.